Um, all right, so that was actually a fail because when I went to set it up, I couldn't find it. Like I've never actually done it before,
Oh,
but it didn't give me any options. Like I looked everywhere I could.
okay. So I think that there is,
Preferences.
whoops.
But anyway.
Hold on. So if you go into when you create a meeting
Mm-hmm.
and you go into settings, or like when you go to your original page, right?
Yeah, I already have people coming into this meeting though, so I think it might.
Ah, shoot.
Oh, but
Okay.
do you do it from like the Zoom app on your laptop, or do you go to the web? Maybe that's
No, to zoom.us.
okay. So I clicked on the Zoom.us like app thing and scheduled a meeting, but
Okay.
I didn't see that option. So maybe I'll try it again. But anyway, learning as we go. Sorry.
Yeah, and I can show you, like if I can share my screen at some point, I'll just make sure that people know how to, first of all, how do you set it so that you can make breakout rooms?
Yeah, that's important. Do you want me to let people in?
Yeah, you might as well.
Okay. I unplug in my computer.
All right, everybody.
Good morning.
Hello, folks. Okay. BJ, do you want to hook up your laptop or your iPad again?
Do you want me to do that right now?
Sure.
Okay, hold on. I gotta go getting that your meeting ID and stuff again.
It's the same link as before, if that helps you.
Yeah, well, if you're using the iPad app, you have to join and you still have to, I mean, I could have done it through email, but this is just as easy, I think.
Sorry about the late delivery of the link, guys. I was trying to enable breakout rooms, but I had some technical difficulties, so that didn't happen.
Okay.
Learning as we go, right?
Hey, science and math departments, look at that. And special ed. And David Doubleday.
Hi.
There's.
All right, you see me now?
Yes.
I'm gonna. Okay, good. There's no audio coming through there.
Right. We still have a couple people coming in, but I think maybe one more minute we can get started.
Does anybody know why Zoom sometimes asks for a password to be typed in and sometimes not?
It's
think-
in your settings, whether you require it or not. If you go to the advanced settings, you can turn the password off.
Mine seems to be, when I go there, it says admin has locked this setting and it's always on.
Because I don't have a password on mine. I
Mine,
wonder who the admin is.
mine have passwords, and sometimes you can just click the link, but then sometimes you have to click the link and type in the password, which I don't know.
I had to do both.
Yeah, for this one I had to do both.
Sorry.
But like for the last one, I didn't.
I think if you are copying the link versus sending an invite, forces you in one direction or the other.
Oh, maybe.
All right. I think maybe we can get started here.
Let's do it.
Do it. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all jazzed up after Graham's little ditty there. So I'll just go over the learning targets for this session. BJ and I are going to keep it pretty casual and have you guys try out some stuff as we talk through it from the student perspective. So, and then I'll have BJ take it away here. So one of the things we want to be able to do is to give feedback to students in real time while delivering new content. So that's what BJ is going to show in a second here. We also want to talk about giving feedback in real time to students with their independent work. So using Schoology, using some different apps, some different technology there. And then giving remote feedback. So it's maybe not in real time, but if they need some more feedback to guide them in the right direction, how to use their Schoology submissions or things like that to help them. And certainly I'm sure that all of us have been using different formats of this. So if you have stuff to add, please, please, please jump in. I would in no way say that I'm an expert, but I'm sure you guys have a lot to add to this. So yeah.
Well, I'm not really an expert either. I'm more of a let's throw a million things at the wall and see which one sticks kind of person. So I'm just going to be sharing like some of the things that I do through my experience. I'm not saying this is the best way to do things, but certainly it's another tool in your toolbox. I'm going to try to talk about, I think, two things. One is this real-time feedback that we can give students. For example, if we're Zooming, let's assume this is my class, and you're working on something and you have questions, and I want to check in. Of course, I can use that breakout room feature, and then one of the things that I like to do is have this second device. So I generally use my laptop for everything. Sorry, I have a million texts and things coming through. I've got people at my house going crazy, so I apologize for all the dings and things that are going to fly up on the screen. Just ignore them if they pop up on my shared screen. So maybe you noticed that one of the people in this room right now is my little emoji guy, right? This is my second device. So this is my iPad that's also connected to this Zoom session. So what I can do is I can keep my laptop open and have my camera here, and at the same time I can share this iPad screen, which now has access to Notability and my PDFs without having to share what's on my laptop, mainly because when I'm giving feedback, what I want to do is I want to do a lot of writing, and I want to use my Apple Pencil and give feedback that way too. So what I would do is I would hook my iPad right into the session just by joining through the app and writing the session ID or whatever and the password. And then directly from there, I can start sharing. You need to enable sharing for everybody, Laura, sorry. Laura's the host of this session, but I'm acting like I'm the host, so I'll just.
Sorry, I did it in the other before, and then I tried to make a new link, and here we are.
can I ask a question real quick, BJ?
Go for it.
Because I've tried to do that because Notability, again, I use that too. But it wouldn't let me sign on to both under my email.
I have not run into that issue. I've done this and where I've been the host and
Okay.
and then I've been able to use my iPad. I'm not exactly sure.
So you're not the host on the iPad. You're just a participant.
Correct. I'm not the
Okay.
host on the iPad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't need to be signed into Zoom with this in order to use it. You can just share it with AirPlay.
You could share with
Now
AirPlay.
you get over my head.
Yeah, so there are multiple ways to actually share a second screen. There's Rowena, you've used the share the screen, but it does require some kind of you have to tinker a little bit, right? Don't you need some kind of
plugin? Yeah. So there's a plugin. It'll ask you, on your computer screen that you need a plugin. Just hit download and takes care of it.
Yeah, so this is what I'm showing is just an alternative way to do the same thing without that plugin. So once I've got my second screen open, I can start sharing the content, and it's going to ask me whether I want to share photos, something from Google Drive, but I kind of want to share my screen here. And I'm going to hit start broadcast, and what should happen is everybody, you want to make sure your microphone is turned off. Whoops, excuse me, hold on. 1 second. Aha. So make sure your microphone is turned off because you don't want your audio to be coming through your laptop and through your iPad at the same time since it's sitting right next to you, because you're going to get this feedback loop and it's just going to go crazy. So, from here, notice I'm still on the screen here, and this can be done in breakout sessions. So if I have a full class and I have 1, 2, 3 kids that just need something, right? There's some quick feedback, or I want to do small group, kind of small group instruction. I can, push those kids into a breakout room. I can join it with my 2 devices, and then suddenly I can go in and I can open up Notability here, and I can use my Apple Pencil, and I can start going through things. So let's see what's going on here. Well, all of my files have been on this iCloud and have been taking forever to download, but you kind of get the idea here. If they ever come through, you would see like a Notability file of a worksheet or some practice problems, or it could be whatever it is, your rubric, the agenda. It doesn't really matter. But now I can start writing on my screen, and you see the screen, but you also see me and hear me talking at the same time. So what I'm doing is I'm sharing any of the apps that I have on my iPad. So you could be looking at student work or, someone else's submission assignment that you're going through, rather than just a blank whiteboard that the feature that Zoom has. So, so this is just one of the ways that I give feedback in real time. Yeah, now things are starting to come through here.
So BJ, we don't actually see you on the screen anymore, but will we see you once something is opened up?
You don't see me on the screen, so you just see a screen share?
I see you.
I see
you.
I see you.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Where do you see him?
Are you on a computer or the iPad?
I'm on a computer.
I don't see him either, Margot.
What are your settings on your view for the Zoom? Are you down?
BJ, I see you now as one of us in the gallery.
Yes.
Right.
Before I saw you down in the corner like you were doing a screencast.
On my iPad.
Yeah.
So when I went to screen share, right, all you're seeing is what I have on my iPad. Now, I am not video recording my picture on my iPad anymore. I was when I was in Zoom, but I'm not in Zoom anymore. I'm on Notability. So you're not seeing me through my iPad connection. You're seeing me through my laptop connection.
Okay. Gotcha.
Can I ask a question, BJ? Could you go back? I've used the 2 devices thing, but I didn't think I could show my like desktop on my iPad. How did you do that?
Well, it's just showing exactly what I see on my iPad screen. I'm just sharing my screen. So let me see if I can go back to my Zoom session.
So I do know in Zoom, when you're on your iPad, when you click the screen share, it asks you to record, which when it first said that, I was like, no, I don't want to record.
Yeah.
But you actually do. You want to select Zoom, and the record is just that you're part of the video Zoom session. So that once you click that, then you can go out of Zoom and into your desktop.
Is it recording it somewhere and like storing it?
I've never found it stored it anywhere. I think just
Okay.
recording means you're like Zoom is videoing you. I think
Yes.
that's what that means.
Well, it is recording right now.
Well, yeah, 'cause I set that up. So if you record your meeting, I guess, then yeah. But
Okay, I have a question to go back even further. How do I screen share?
On your iPad?
Yeah,
Okay, so do you have the Zoom app on your iPad?
I do.
Okay, so you would have to join the session, the current session, with your iPad first.
Okay, I've done that, I think.
Okay, so Laura should see a request from you to join the session.
everyone's in that I can tell. Are you on your iPad right now, Dave?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So then you should up at the top have some options.
Right.
One of them being share, like a green. You might have to hit the 3 dots.
The 3 dots?
Yep. And then does it say screen share or share?
It says share content.
Yep.
And so would just hit that.
Yep.
And sorry if I'm asking dumb questions, but that's where I am technologically speaking.
That's where we're all at here.
Okay, so when I do that, if I were Zooming with a group of students or a student, they would see what's on my iPad.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, and what we're talking about is how do I also show them what's on my laptop?
Yes. So this is you with 2 devices, your laptop
Right.
and your iPad.
Okay, so I've got the iPad down. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I'm to the point where I'm asking Sarah's question. How do I get how do I show what's on my laptop?
So if you go to the bottom of the screen, you have a green share screen button.
Okay, which screen, on my iPad or on my laptop?
You want to share your laptop, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so on your laptop, if you're in your Zoom session, there you go. Oh, that looks like your iPad.
Yeah,
That's me.
it's my iPad. So could I join a meeting on both devices?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to, if you have 2 devices going, you want to make sure your mic is off on one of them. That's what that feedback noise is. So if you're joining with both your iPad and your laptop, make sure your mic is off on one of them.
Okay. How do I shut my mic off on my laptop?
So when you go to share your screen with your iPad, for example, so I'm just gonna go ahead and show you. Start broadcast. Let's see here. Okay, do you see this screen right here?
I do.
Okay, so this screen shows up when you are trying to connect your screen share with your iPad. What you want to do is make sure that that microphone off button is turned off.
Okay.
Okay, so if I click on it, see it says microphone on, that would give me the feedback. So I just want to make sure I turn that off when I connect my iPad.
Okay. And in terms of the laptop, how do I shut it off there if I want to shut it off from there?
That, I believe that's just a matter of hitting the mute button.
I think you actually have to turn it fully off though, from what I did in our room the other day. But if you click the little up arrow next to mute, you can, I think it's leave computer audio is the one you want to choose. And then
Okay.
I'll have that anymore.
There's an icon up at the top that has a speaker, and that's all the way down. Does that shut it off?
It's under the three dots for more on your
Next
iPad.
to where I'm getting my signal, the fan, my Wi-Fi signal.
Oh.
Oh, that's your speaker volume. So that's just turning the volume down on your
Okay.
laptop.
Right. Okay. You know, I'm taking up too much of your time. Go ahead. I can figure this out. Thank you.
So, so that's just one way to connect that second device, and it's the one that just seems for me to work the best because I can just join two devices into the same session right as I open up a session, and it takes one second to do. And then, like I said, you can pop kids into breakout rooms and join with those two devices and do individual things with small groups, and then go back into your main session if you need to. So. I would recommend giving that a try. I'm operating on the assumption that we all have some kind of, like, once we share our iPad screen, we know what apps or whatever we want to use to actually give that feedback. Like I said, I use Notability, and I know Lora uses Notability quite a bit, only because it seems to be the best one to navigate back and forth between the iPad and the laptop, and it allows you to write directly on the screen and things like that. But if you haven't gotten a chance to check out Notability, I would highly recommend it. So if you're grading on Schoology with the Schoology kind of annotation type of things, maybe you want to try sending it to Notability first and trying to annotate in Notability, because it seems to be a little more robust, and then you can send it right back to Schoology. So if you haven't done that yet, I would recommend doing that.
Does anybody want to take a minute and try sharing their second device, sharing their screen, or?
Well, that was one of my questions, I guess. How do you stop, or maybe it's just, you just need to tell kids not to do it, but because kids can, like, one time I used the whiteboard and kids were writing and drawing on it when they weren't supposed to. How do you manage that?
I can speak to that a little bit.
Okay.
So if you go into, when you create a meeting in Zoom.com or whatever, when you do it on your laptop to set up the meeting, there are settings in there, and they're actually worth looking at. And Laura, that's where you need to go to get your breakouts.
Yeah, because I did it from the app, and that's what I realized, but we didn't have enough time for me to do it.
But there are lots and lots of settings that you can do in there, and that's among one of those settings.
Okay.
That would be a good tip for us to share with whole staff, is to set up your meetings through the web address and not through, because I just have the Zoom app on my laptop, and that's what I've always set meetings up on, and it doesn't even give you a breakout option at all. So.
I set up my laptop while we were doing this. I could not get the volume to go down. I hit mute. It would not, the bar would not go all the way back to shut off. There was a little piece left and I couldn't get it.
So you don't see, Bill, in the lower left corner of your laptop screen, a microphone that says mute?
Yes, I do. It's not a problem with muting it there. I don't have a problem with a laptop. The problem was with the iPad. If I had it going like in this session, I was getting sound stereo.
Up at the top, there's three little dots. You got to go to the three dots, click on that. There's the more, and then it brings up a set of options. One of them is disconnect from audio.
Okay.
Yep.
Another thing, Bill, is that when you join and it asks you if you want to join the audio, when you join on your iPad, just don't join on your iPad and then it's never a problem.
Okay.
Great tips. We can try and record some of these tips. We have a Google Doc going too, so we'll try and get down a few of these concepts as we go so you have something to refer back to. Does anyone want to try sharing their screen or anything else? Any other questions?
I'd love to see somebody try to share their iPad screen with the crew. Someone has a second device audio going.
I'm trying. My devices are side by side.
Yep.
And I just I'm trying to share my screen, but it's doing a first time setup.
Okay.
It's saying open the settings app. It's going to take me a while, so this will be too time consuming. I've got to follow these 4.
What do we got here?
That's mine.
Chipper, there you go.
Good job, Chipper.
What are we looking at? There you go. So Chipper, you're sharing the whiteboard, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can someone like share? Does anybody have a piece of student work or something that they can share?
Graham, can you maybe try to turn your audio off on your second device? I think that's the feedback one.
Any volunteers?
I'm trying to find something.
Try.
Okay.
On the second device,
iPad in a minute.
Oh, sorry.
On the second device, if you see a mute symbol, that means that you're joined with the audio and you're trying to mute that audio. So, for example, if you look down at my iPad, it doesn't have a mute symbol, and it's because I'm not joined with the audio at all.
Right.
So, if you look on the screen and your second device has a little mute symbol in the lower left-hand corner, that means you're joined with audio, and then you got to unjoin.
And just like Barrett said, do that with the 3 dots, and then I think it says disconnect audio, if I'm correct.
Aha.
So this is Rowena, right?
So Rowena, is this your laptop or iPad? Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Who's the other writing? The high R6.
Can I try something?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, so can you see there's a play review here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool. I did it. Oh,
Work.
awesome. Thank you. I learned something today.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is me sharing nothing. And then let me see if I can,
David, while Karen's opening, one of the things is you just opened a document.
Yeah.
And if you opened it in Notability, you could actually write on that document. Like,
well, one of the things that I opened it in Google Docs, and so what I'm hoping is that I could highlight the Google Doc feature. You know, it allows me to do that and make comments on it. And perhaps the student could also make comments as well.
Mhm.
So I don't know, is it possible to, in a Google Doc, when you're sharing it, to access the comment feature in Google Doc?
Anything, you're just accessing that document. So any features that you would normally have, you have, even though you're
Okay.
sharing it.
All right, great, thanks.
I see, Karen, is this videos?
Well, one was, and then I didn't know how to stop it once I started it. There's the start of the video, making paper airplanes. Oh, there's a series of short ones apparently. Okay, so anyway, now, what do I do? Oh, and now I touch the top. I don't know how to stop sharing.
So go back to your Zoom.
Oh. Oh.
And then at the top, stop share. The
Oh.
red button. There you go.
There it is.
All right, so in interest of time, I think maybe we should move on and show you guys a few other little things. We have, it says it ends at 10:40, so we have about half an hour. And we'll try and keep this same model of you guys try while we share. BJ, do you want to show them the Schoology distractor rationale thing? And then
Yeah, the feedback and the distractor rationale thing.
And then I'll do the other.
So just, Laura, you've used the distractor rationale, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to talk about that when I get there, because there are a couple questions that I still have about that, but I would like to. So now I'm going to share my my laptop screen, because I use, don't judge me.
Mine looks worse.
Mine does too.
Let me see if I can get over to my Schoology page here. Okay, so if you haven't done any assessments on Schoology, either quizzes or tests or anything, I would recommend trying those features out at some point. So I use both of them. And for remote schooling, it was always the way that I did my exit slips. And there are two different options with assessments on Schoology. You could do a test/quiz or assessment. So both of those are similar, but they're different at the same time, and they have different features. But what I want to do is I just want to jump into this test quiz. A little bit ago, Jen, let me just, actually, I can do it from here. So I started this one. I set it up already, and I'm ready to add questions here. And in the last session, Jen actually, I don't know, she kind of gave me a little shout out. I wasn't expecting that. But what she was talking about was what I'm about to show you. And that's giving students immediate feedback while they're doing one of these assessments. So for example, if I'm choosing a multiple choice type question and I'm typing the question in this space and I'm putting the answers, I'm really thinking about specifically the different options that they could give me or what errors they may have. And so what I want to do is I want to click on this little show feedback button right here, okay? And so, if the first answer is correct, I might say, great job. But if they chose the second one, and I know why they chose the second one, I kind of know the rationale here, I might give them some feedback like, did you expand your polynomial fully, or something like that, right? And what happens is, if they choose that option and they go back and they look at their submission, they will see that feedback right next to their incorrect answer. And so what I'm doing is I'm prompting them to rethink the answer to that question right away. And then I'm giving them another opportunity to go back in and examine that question again. And I can do that for every single one. And, I've done this for a few years now. And the feedback I get from students is, like Jen said, it is great because it's in the moment. It's right after they finish. And then I always give them a second opportunity to take the feedback and go back in and think about the feedback that they were given.
And
So this is another way that I give immediate feedback. You can also, if you don't want to do it individually per question, but you just want to give feedback on the entire question itself, like instead of per answer, but the entire question, you can do that too.
And I will say, I sometimes like to make it, oh, am I muted? No? Okay. I like to make it a little bit funny. So the kids, you know, they get some humor in their day. So I might be like, don't be a ding dong. You know what to do when you have x plus 3 parentheses squared. Or, and a lot of times the feedback will be in the form of a question rather than telling them what to do. So like, think back what we did in class last Tuesday, go back to your notes, something like that. So there's tons of ways that you can use it and make it a little more personal.
Right.
Can I jump in?
Go for it.
The other thing I've done with the incorrect and the correct feedback is I will, sometimes kids guess, right? And so if you only put good job in the correct feedback, they actually don't know why it's right. So sometimes I will put in the incorrect feedback, oh, this is incorrect, but remember that haploid cells have half the number of chromosomes. And then in the correct feedback, I'll be like, yes, you're right, because of course haploid cells have half the number of chromosomes. And then I know that I'm getting them twice, just in case.
That's awesome. I'll show you that version from the assessment piece, and then I'll show you a couple other little tools. So I'm going to do it right in our little group here. So if instead I choose add assessment, let's give it a date. I can play with the settings, and when I do give feedback like this, especially in the remote setting, I was giving them the ability to see their results, and then I also usually gave them 3 attempts so that they could use that feedback to help them get to the next question, or get to the right answer. And then when I go to add questions, same as BJ, click multiple choice. This was being really slow yesterday, so I'm hoping it's faster today. There we go. The same thing is true here, but it's a distractor rationale. So they just changed the language. And so under each possible answer, you can say you forgot to distribute or something like that. So really the same process, just a different assessment. The only downside of using assessments versus the test quiz for me is that with the test quiz, I can save all my questions to a question bank, whereas in the assessments, I can't do that. I only have the quizzes as I've made them. So just so you know, when you're setting these up, a big benefit of the test quiz is that you can put all your questions in a question bank and pull from them later.
Do you see when you give them multiple chances to do it, is it easy to tell which choice, like if they got it right the first time versus the second time versus the third time?
Yeah, you can look at all 3 attempts. You can look at their quiz each time, and mine defaults to the most recent attempt. So that's the one I usually look at first to see what they eventually got. But you can go back through all of their tries.
Can you give them like less credit if it took them more time? I'm just thinking a kid who might just go in and randomly choose things. If they have 3 or 4 choices and there are only 4 choices, I don't even have to read the question. I just press things randomly and hey, I get 100%.
Yeah, you would have to manually override their scores if you wanted to do that.
Okay.
But
you could also, when you went into the settings, Laura, one of the options is not to take the highest score, but you can take an average. You can, so if you go into your setup and go to the bottom, see your default is highest score down at the bottom, but you do have the last score. I thought there was an option for average. That may just be on the quiz feature.
Yeah, I think it's just in the other one.
Okay. Thank you.
I have heard from students that the assessments sometimes take longer for a school to grade than the tests and quizzes. I'm not sure if that's still the case or not.
That is very true. Yes. Schoology seems to, the assessment feature does seem to bog down a little bit at times on Schoology, more so than other things. And so sometimes students are getting their results in a minute or two, and then other times for like longer assessments, it takes a while to get it. So that is one drawback. If Schoology is lagging a little bit, it does take longer for the assessments to grade and for them to get that feedback. Whereas I've never had that issue with quizzes. The quiz feature is always lickety split. It's like, boom, you get your feedback right away.
And assessments give you they give you more types of questions. So you can see the list of questions here. There's a lot of things you can choose from. But with the test quiz, it was easier for me to comment on each student's individual question so that when they did like super corrections, they could open their quiz back up and see my feedback, like my individual commenting on each of their questions. I don't have that capability in this assessment feature. I can only comment on the assessment as a whole. So definitely some pros and cons to both, but I would encourage you guys to play around with them.
So what's the advantage of using assessment?
I like the way it looks better. Seems silly, but the way it like moves students through the problems I like better. And they also have a larger variety of types of questions that you can ask. So in the test quiz, you only have like multiple choice, true, false, and a couple others.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there are more options in terms of how you can phrase questions or ask them to respond.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Laura, what do you do when you want to get when you want to see how they got to a solution?
Like if it was a problem that required a lot of work, you mean?
Yeah, only question. They're giving you an answer. They come up with the right answer. They come up with the wrong answer. More importantly, so how do you see where they went wrong? I mean, you guide them with your responses. I see that to some degree, but I got to tell you, there are a lot of kids, at least that I work with, who resist writing out complete solutions, and we work on it all the time, and it's a challenge, especially when you're trying to help them. So
remotely, that was really hard, but that's where I used a lot of them submitting assignments to me so I could see their work prior to taking these quizzes. And then that's where I sort of gave that feedback, like BJ said, in Notability, either one-on-one or something I sent back to them. In the quiz feature, that's harder. When we're in school, sometimes I'll have students turn in their supporting work to the Schoology quizzes, and I tell them it's for partial credit. But at home, when it's been remote, I haven't done that. So
remotely, my AP kids, I do these, and I post the question. They write it out on paper because it's too hard to do it on the computer screen. They take a picture and they attach the picture. And I'd be able to annotate on their picture of their work. But that requires you to actually get them to do work, Bill, which I don't think is addressing your problem.
Hey, BJ, I have a question. Yes. So yesterday's exit slip, you were actually reading the question. So I'm assuming you were using the audio feature on assessments. Does the green puzzle piece also have that, or is that something totally different?
I have never used the audio feature on quizzes. I've only ever used it. Well, I believe that this is different. This audio feature here is different than what I did. So if I go into a question, like Laura, if you're going into a multiple choice question here, since you're sharing the screen, if you go up to the top, you've got this, that's right. That's the button that I clicked on, and it allowed me to record audio. And it was just a short clip, and then it embedded it directly into the question. That's how I did it yesterday. I've never actually explored this on the quiz. I haven't explored it yet on the quiz feature. I've only done it on this.
Does that same feature exist on the quiz feature though?
That is a great question. In all honesty, I have not gone and searched for it on the quiz feature. I pretty much have been strictly assessments rather than quizzes over the last year. So, I haven't, when the quiz feature was struggling with the math expressions, putting the math expressions in, that's when I went, bloop, I'm going to the assessments, and I haven't gone back. So I haven't checked it out.
I think in the test quiz feature, it requires like Flash Player or something, and I haven't gotten it to work on my computer. So it works in this, but not in the other one for me personally. Any other questions about this or? Okay. So I'm just going to show you a few other tools that I use in my class to give instant feedback, if you will, sort of generic feedback. So not specific to, not that I'm working one-on-one with each kid, but just like this, a distractor rationale, when they submit a question, they get some sort of feedback. And so something I've used in my classes a lot is the, hold on, there we go, Socrative. So you can sign up as a teacher, and then when your students take the quiz, they can go to Socrative Student app, which they have on their iPads. And so you can create quizzes. You can do a really quick exit ticket for students. They can be, you can do a quick question, which if I just wrote a question on the board, the students could quickly respond with a true/false answer. So I'll show you some of my results, and then I'll show you how also if we wanted to create a quiz. So these are some that I've created previously. If I edit this question, hold on, I have to get rid of your faces, sorry. If I edit the question, I can add an explanation just like we did in the Schoology quizzes as to why they might have gotten it right or gotten it wrong. And as students move through, they can also, that immediately tells them whether they're getting the question right or wrong. Whereas Schoology quizzes, they have to wait till they get their results. So I'll show you quickly something that my students have done. Let's go back to before we were really remote. Nope.
Keep going.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure that it's not one. There we go. So this is something in class I project on the screen, and we talk about each question. When I project it on the screen, I do show their names and not their score, just their progress. So 100% if they've completed it, gives students a little motivation there. And then if I'm just looking at it as a teacher, I will also click Show Answers. So if I click on each individual question, this was using your unit circle, what's the sign of pi over 2? How'd we do as a class? Well, 68% of us got that right. And I can keep clicking that. The short answer type questions, they can actually give me a response. I wish we were back in school, you know, so they typed all of their things. I can show their names and that gives me everything. So I am gonna launch a quiz and I want you guys to try it in the view of a student. So hold on here. So I'm going to click, when I set it up, I click this instant feedback, which means as they go through, they progress on their own and they get their, whether they're right or wrong. Teacher pace means I would progress the next question. So this is what it looks like from my teacher screen. For you as students, you want to go to, or just Google Socrative Student. And then it's going to ask you for a room name, which is Hanley 219. And you can change your room name to whatever you want. So go to Socrative Student. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but I feel like it's fun to try if you haven't used it. And like I said, you should have I think the app on your iPads, and all the kids have the app, but, and then type in the room name as Hanley 219 once you get there, and you can put in any name. And just try some of the, I don't even know what these questions are. I just clicked on a random one, so. And so you can see as a teacher, it's quick. I can quickly assess, you know, where we have problems or what kids are understanding strongly. And why I never grade this isn't a graded thing. The kids just do it as they come into class. So, and this is how I did attendance all through remote as well. It also tells you the percentage of people getting it correct at the bottom. So that's a helpful little. Does anyone have questions about how this works?
I disagree with your final question answer.
What would be your response, Rowena?
Because you went off on a tangent and it marked me wrong.
Well, that's the other thing. If you put in correct answers, you have to try to account for all the different potential wording or way that they would type in an answer. So sometimes I get lazy and I just tell them, as long as you're close to what it says, then you're fine. But
I was just asking you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I even gave them a little hint, you know, with the picture. Some of them got it.
Laura, do you use this like live in Zoom? Like, is this something you would have them like sign on to individually or working independently, or is this something you would pull up like during a live Zoom?
So I think next year I would. I didn't do that this year. I didn't do a lot of the Zoom with my students, but in class we would always go over the answers, and some of the students, their feedback to me was that was one thing that they missed. Like they did the warm-ups, but we didn't always get a chance to discuss the answers afterwards. Sometimes I would make short little pre-recorded videos and post them as an update in Schoology if they had a major problem with one of these warm-up questions. But I do think I would like to start using it like we would in a traditional class with Zoom next year. All right, so I keep monitoring the time. We only have like 10 minutes left. So I'm just gonna give you a real quick overview of like 2 other things that I used, and then we'll see if you guys have any questions and sort of wrap up here. So another thing that I used for instant feedback is Flipgrid. And I haven't explored this as much as I would like to, I'll be honest, but a Flipgrid is essentially a way for students to post a quick video. So instead of live Zooming, which some students feel uncomfortable about, they can post a short video and then come back to it. So I'll show you one my pre-calc class did. You set it up on Flipgrid, and then you set up a topic. So their topic was 2 truths and a lie about trigonometry. So I give them instructions. I can leave a little video that explains the instructions here. And then you can see my students' responses. So I'll show you what it looks like as a student. So this is what the students see, and they had fun with the stickers and all of that. They can record a little quick video, and then these bubbles up here are students responding to other students. So they had to say 2 truths and a lie. We'll pick on Max.
Pi is equivalent to 180 degrees.
And then this was a person guessing. Some of them didn't like showing their faces, so they obviously are more tech savvy than me and quickly figured out how to just make it a blank screen and type, which is perfectly fine. But on the teacher side, you can respond to students with a million different ways here. So you can type them comments. You can give them video feedback here. So like record a video of you talking back to them on their response. You can put in a rubric here if it was something you wanted to grade, or you can email feedback to them. So lots of different ways you can give students feedback there. So I do want to play more with this next year, but I only used it a couple times. Any questions about that one?
Was that one of the kids' favorites?
They did like it, although I thought they would be more into making their own little videos, but a lot of them were very camera shy and just wanted to either like record themselves without their faces or type something, which was, I found interesting, but it is fun for me.
Looks fun.
Yeah. And then Remind is something I've used in the past. I don't know if any of you have much experience with this. When we went to Schoology, I sort of stopped using it as communication piece, but I think I'm going to bring it back next year. A lot of teachers have mentioned either they were texting with students or they wish they could text with students. And this is a way to do that in a safe way without giving out your phone number. So these are some classes that I had in the past, and students can sign up so they get your message as either a text message or through an app on their phone or iPad. They can choose how they get that information. And it's as simple as me just clicking here and saying, "Hi everyone." And then I send the message. Oh, not that, sorry. I have to click new message. I can say, "Hi everyone." I can send it to all my classes. I can send it to, I'm failing at this right now, but anyway.
Did you have to input all of their names in this program?
That's a good point. So to get, to share it with them, I just posted this in the beginning of class where it says add people.
Mm-hmm.
You can add right there, or on the left here, there's printable PDF or share a link. So I would post this PDF, which just gives them directions to sign themselves up. So I did this at the beginning, like the first day of school. If they have a smartphone, they can go and they're on the app, they can use option A. If they just want text messages, they can use option B. And most of my kids opted for the text messages. That was the most effective for them. So I didn't do any of the uploading. They put themselves into the program. And then you see them all here once they've joined.
Okay, so that's through the printable PDF? Is that?
Yep.
Okay.
So you add people and then printable PDF.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can message students one-on-one through this, and they can send you files, pictures, things like that if they need help. And my students really, really liked that. So.
Okay. And the school,
Laura,
the school
go,
is
David.
okay. The school is okay. I know that there was some mention about making sure that whatever communications we had were recorded. Yeah.
So this saves all of your conversations. It's all in their database, so it's not like a private text message type thing. And I know a ton of school districts use it. I guess I didn't technically ask if this was okay. I didn't use it this year, but I am hoping to use it next year.
Okay, thank you.
So, Laura, so I understand, like, if you're pushing out a notice, you can text all the kids at once. When they talk to you, when they respond to it, does it come through to you as a text, or do I have to log on to this program to see how they're responding, or how does that work?
I have the app on my phone. I have the app on my phone, so it would come through as like a notification on my app. But you could also log into this to see it if you wanted. There's a million different ways you could set it up for yourself. You can also give yourself office hours or do not disturb hours. So if you don't want messages from kids in the middle of the night, then you can set that up too.
Laura, can I ask why you want to go back to, like, what part of Schoology isn't serving the function that you want?
So the updates worked for me sending out whole class messages, but I found when I was emailing individual students, I would sometimes get no response, or Schoology messaging individual students. I would get no response. But I think they're more apt to see a text message on their phone than they are to go looking for an email. And the ease of just having a back and forth chat seems to work well for helping kids in the moment.
And kids are clever. They shut their notifications off, so they don't know that they're getting a message on Schoology.
But do we want to encourage that? This is just,
Yeah,
it's a philosophical question.
That's where I am.
Do we want to encourage that? Like, I feel like there should be some like, guys, you have to check your email. You have to check your Schoology notifications, but we can help you manage it because they're a little crazy. I don't know. I like this, what this can do, and I like the results it might get, but I also don't want to like enable them.
Well, one of my things is, I mean, I love all of this, but don't you get kind of lost? Because I might forget, like, oh, I need to go look in this folder, or I need to go look at this app, or you know what I mean? Like, and do kids know how to use all of this, or do I have to spend, you know, a week teaching them how to use all of these things to sign them up and all of that?
In my experience, the kids have, in all three of these things that I've used, they have picked it up faster than I picked it up. And so I didn't really have to do a ton of pre-teaching to figure this out. But I hear you about the different apps. I don't use, I will say, like the Flipgrid I did once this whole quarter. And the Socrative I do in the beginning of every class. So that's just, for me as a teacher, I am trained to go look at that at the beginning of every class. And I linked it all through Schoology, so people didn't have to go in and out. So I think it's just what you're comfortable with. I mean, I would say take baby steps. I don't do all of this every day, all the time, if that makes sense. But.
Is there a chat feature on the iPad? I'm looking at, I just realized that the chat feature, there's a chat feature on my laptop, but I don't see it on my iPad. Is that? Sorry if I'm
Through
asking.
Zoom, you mean? Through Zoom?
Yeah.
There is. I think you have to click on the three dots again, maybe.
Okay. Chat. Okay. Oh, there it is. Thank you. You've helped an old man immeasurably.
So we only have about a minute left for the session. Sorry, I know there's so much stuff to show and never enough time to play with it. But we did record this session, so I'll post it in the folder, and I'll make some notes on the Google Doc that'll be in that folder for you too. And if you have questions and want to try anything with me, please feel free to reach out. BJ, do you have any other?
Just go for it. Check it out. What do you got to lose?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good job. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I think it was successful, BJ.
I think so.
There's a lot of new stuff at once. I was like, oh, I'm going really fast, but.
Yeah.
All right. Well, see you on the other side.
Where do we go now?
No, wait.
Back to the next session, I guess.
Yeah, I think Lisa, Damien, and Patty have something next.
Okay.